Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here, Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and finally going to get the Backlash review up. I'm not thrilled that it's taken me several days to do so, but business has been busy, so that is, in the end, a good thing. Hopefully, YouTube can become more regular when we start getting enough subscribers to get some monetization for the channel. So I need your help with that. Like, subscribe, comment below, and all that good stuff. Anyway. Definitely worth looking at the Backlash pay-per-view, or what I call network per-view now, because, well, unless you're paying the old rates on a cable system, which I can't imagine anybody does anymore. Maybe there's a few tens of thousands of people that do, but for the most part, I would assume that the majority of watchers, 99%, are network subscribers. Anyway, Backlash wasn't a bad show by any stretch of the imagination. Also, we will have an Impact review, an AEW review, an NXT review, and the AEW Dark review. Hopefully, all up within the next 48 hours, as I don't have as much to do tomorrow as I have had the last few days. In any event, we start with the Apollo Crews and Andrade match. That is on the kickoff show. I really don't. I mean, to be honest, I don't get the kickoff show concept, being that at the end of the day, you've got a captive audience on the network for the most part. Who the heck cares about, you know, a hype show for a show you're going to watch anyway? I get it when they did traditional pay-per-view. I don't get it now, unless they're doing it because they still do traditional pay-per-view somewhere. Anyway, this is for the U.S. Championship. Match is 7 minutes and just under 7:30. New music for Crews. Owens comes out, joins in on commentary. Really, actually, would like to see Owens in the role of champion rather than Crews. I know that people like the fact that Crews is champion, get somebody new in there, but at the same time, for me, Crews has had lost for so long that the credibility of him being champion is questionable at best. Anyway, so Owens is out there and he's talking along. Owens is out there in a tie, which is kind of weird. Back body drop early onto the ramp, and Crews hits him with a belly-to-belly suplex, and Crews follows that up with a spine buster for near fall. Andrade follows later with a DDT for near fall of his own. Crews hits a standing moonsault and a standing shooting star. Garza on the apron and distracts the referee for reasons yet unknown. Owens nails Garza with a stunner, and Andrade tries to attack from behind. Crews hits a sitting spin out powerbomb for the win. Crews retains. I mean, it was fine for what it is, but at the same time, it's not. To me, it's not a championship match. First of all, championship matches should be special. Championship matches should be unique. They should stand out, especially when you have, 2 tag team championships per brand, or 1 tag team championship per brand, a singles mid card championship, and a heavyweight championship on each brand. These are basically the equivalent of 3 male, and I'm not ignoring the women. It's just a different structure for them. They don't have the mid-level championships. So, I mean, you've only got 3 competitors that you really have to focus on if you take the tag teams out of it. That's 6 people. 6 people's matches could be special every time out. That's not that hard. Anyway, we open the actual network per-view show with the triple threat tag team match for the Smackdown Women's Championships. Bayley and Sasha Banks are your champions going in. They are successful in defending their championships, and they will move on to NXT tonight to defend their championships. So I'm looking forward to that, as I like most of the women in NXT. But they defeat here Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross, and the Iconics to retain the tag team championship in just under 9 minutes. And Michael Cole points out that Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox get a shot at whoever wins here. Before the match, we see an interview with the champions. Bayley calls them the greatest tag team champions ever. I assume she means for women, because I can think of a bunch of teams that are better than Bayley and Sasha. I enjoy Bayley and Sasha, but not in the vein of, say, I don't know, Demolition, the Brain Busters, name a team. Anyway, but I actually would like to see a women's tag team get to that legendary level. There have been women's singles that have. So, women's tag, probably a few years away, but it could happen. Anyway, so Kayla Braxton, who I don't know if they just make her ask stupid questions or they want this misogynistic idea where women are dumb on television. But she asks if the friendship will be over if they lose the championship. And it's like, hey, if we lose, we're not friends no more, is basically the undertone. I mean, that works in like third grade. Like if you're on the softball team or the baseball team in third grade, you know, you cost us the win. I don't like you anymore. But most of the viewers, I hope, have an IQ higher than an 8-year-old. Anyway, so obviously the champions are offended by the question. They say their friendship is unstoppable. Anyway, so Peyton Royce does do a dive onto everybody, and Alexa Bliss nails a Twisted Bliss on Royce. Banks catches her with a roll-up for a pinfall win. Banks and Bayley retain. The match itself, really, I mean, that's just highlights. I'm concising. It was fine. I would much rather have seen the Iconics removed from the match entirely. It's not shots at them as people. I wish they could go away to another promotion, get something that actually works to where I want to see them. This character or these characters, not it at all. So I'm open to maybe if they were in a different environment, they could come up with something more creative or something. I don't want to see them on WWE TV because they have not convinced me effectively that they are enjoyable to watch, and so I'd like to see them go away, come back, learn a new hold, as Jim Ross might say. You know, I mean, getting under 10 minutes for a three-way, I'm surprised by that. That doesn't really make sense to me. Then they shoot to Braun Strowman arriving at the arena. You know, Strowman's getting his car destroyed a lot. I think he had another car destroyal. Wow, make up words as we go. Car being destroyed on Raw. And I don't really quite get it because, like, where's the dude get the money to make the repairs on the car constantly? Anyway, unfortunately, up next is Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. I say unfortunately because two guys close to, and I think Hardy is over 40, in a prominent role, is not what I want to see when they're wrestling each other. I would much rather see them both wrestle younger talents, bring the best out of them, and do the honors to get new talents over, especially when WWE executives, and a lot of people have private messaged me here on YouTube and on Twitter, oh, you're so negative on the McMahons, you must hate them. No, I hate what they've done to the wrestling business in a lot of ways. They have been creative in terms of getting people more money and providing family security, but from a storytelling standpoint and from a logic standpoint, they have single-handedly in the last, I'll say 15 years, probably longer than that, killed storytelling in the sport. I truly believe that. And used to be that an older guy would be used to put a younger guy over, an older lady would be used to do the same for the ladies division. It's not happening here. These two guys go out there, and they have a reasonable match. I'm not going to say that they didn't have a good match or anything like that, but at the end of the day, two guys north of 40 having an okay, an average match is not what is needed if you're in a rebuilding period. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, Hardy teases using the steps, and then Sheamus goes for control for a while. Hardy tries to whisper in the wind, doesn't get what he wants out of it. Hardy ducks a brogue kick into a sling blade. Sheamus pulls him off the top rope, and they fall onto each other. Sheamus hits a white noise and applies a Texas Cloverleaf that Hardy gets out of. Hardy sends Sheamus into the post on the outside, hits a twist of fate and a swanton bomb. Sheamus gets his foot under or on the rope. Sheamus then rolls to the outside. Hardy tries to dive. It doesn't go the way he wants it to go. Sheamus gives him a brogue kick, and then Sheamus follows up with a second for the pinfall win. Couple of things. Number one, the back and forth of the match is fine, but again, they don't need 17 minutes to do this. This could have been done in 10. Give another 7 to the tag team championship 3-way, and give them 15 minutes, and then things look more even. I don't know that using 15 minutes for Hardy taking a loss where he's already taken the loss of his integrity in storyline. Now he's losing matches too. This is not the monster push of a guy that you want to build SmackDown around. He's just not. He doesn't have it together. Match goes way too long here. So Caleb Braxton interviews The Miz and Morrison. Miz says they don't have time for this. And they did away with the co-champion stipulation, which was the only part of the match that really matters. They now said whoever pins the champion, if somebody does, the ultimate truth of that, whoever pins Strowman would be the single champion. Somehow, these heels who should be mad at their dastardly plan of either one of them winning and being co-champions not working, seem to take this well, which is just stupid. Then we move on to Asuka and Nia Jax. They go 8.5 minutes, and they end in a no contest, I believe. Let me just double check here. I believe double count out. It's been a minute since I watched the show, but yeah, they end in a no contest double count out situation. Not a fan of this. This is just number one. I don't particularly care for Nia Jax, as I've mentioned before. She's unsafe. She's got a job because of her family relationships and because she's atypical of what a woman they normally would hire looks like. She does not have a job based on core talent. At least I can't imagine so. Anyway, Asuka uses an octopus, which Jax gets out of, and then Jax takes over, uses a good bit of power moves here. That leads to Asuka applying a guillotine, and they go for Goldberg's finish, and Nia just drops her on her head almost. Nia does a lot of trash talking, strikes by Sane, not by Sane, by Asuka. The trash talking was done about Sane. Near fall off a Shining Wizard by Asuka. Asuka follows with a drop kick and running hip attack for near fall there. Asuka uses a series of yes kicks. Hits a sit-out powerbomb. Ouch. I'm sorry, but there is no way I'd be taking a power move from Nia Jax if I'm Asuka. Also, I mean, Asuka, was a big deal in Japan, big deal on NXT. Now she's being forced to pull matches out of an under qualified talent in Nia Jax and take rough moves like that. Just no thank you. No way. Um, so Asuka goes for an armbar and gets it in. Um, Nia Jax falls out of the ring to get away from the armbar and basically almost falls on her head. That didn't look too great. So Asuka applies an armbar on the outside, and then Nia just basically Hulk smashes her into the barricade. Asuka comes up with, trying to get back in, but they basically do the countout thing. As mentioned on Raw, they do a rematch here. I mean, this whole match, the Nia Jax thing has failed. I'm sorry, she's been out for surgery, major surgery, out for an extended period of time. She has never hit a complete stride. She can be carried to a passable match, but has never produced a match where people go, "Oh, let's go out of our way to watch her." I can't imagine, young girls at home being Nia Jax fans over more talented people like a Charlotte Flair, like a Bayley, Sasha Banks, Asuka, with all these options. The only thing I can figure that keeps Nia Jax employed is, and I hate to say this, but she's got the bigger person, body type, and for a female, that's extremely rare. I think the last time they had somebody like that was Bertha Faye. I can't remember another really larger woman in WWE offhand that got a heavy push. And I think they fear that if they let her go, she'd go for a discrimination suit. It's the only logical thing I can think of that would keep her employed. Now, if you have another reason that they might be employing Nia Jax outside of her family connections and the public backlash of letting her go, I'd love to hear it in the comments below, but I can't fathom this. It doesn't make sense to my brain. Anyway, so we go to the handicap match, which runs just under 7.5 minutes for the Smackdown Championship. Again, championship match under 10 minutes. You obviously don't have faith in your champion if he's not even able to work a 10-minute match. This is Hulk Hogan territory here. But back in Hogan's time, they were hot for everything, and he didn't need to go 20 minutes. He could get in, do his basic deal, and get out in under 15. Braun Strowman is not at that level. So they do a music video preview that's interrupted by Strowman entering. I love the Miz Morrison music video thing. I've never been a huge Miz fan until I started watching their fake reality show, and I like him as a guy, just as a person, as a personality away from the ring more than I like him as a character on WWE TV. So it makes him actually more enjoyable to watch because I've watched the Miz and the Miz thing. Morrison versus Strowman on his own in a one-on-one match I think would be fun, and I think Morrison has grown so much as a wrestler in his time away from WWE that he could bring something really good out of Strowman. Anyway, so Morrison is hitting strikes, and then they tag, but they miss each other with the tag. Miz and Morrison hit some double teams, skull-crushing finale, and double foot stomp combo. Morrison goes for the cover. Miz yanks him off because he's not wanting to not be a multi-time champion here. Morrison is surprised by this, not quite sure why, although maybe they just added the stipulation change right before the match began legit. I wouldn't put me past the WWE scriptwriters to do this. So Then Strowman hits Miz with a choke slam and gives Morrison a power slam for the pinfall win. Man, if I feel so bad for John Morrison. I mean, I don't know what he's making money-wise, and maybe for the sake of him and his family, he went back for a can't-miss deal. Maybe he did that, and if he did that, good for him. But at the same time, he's such a talented guy, and to come back and be the one to take the fall in a match like this with, an under-ready champion. I don't think Strowman is. I'd have no problem if he was the U.S. or the Intercontinental Champion, but to carry a brand, at least in theory, Strowman does not have that in him at this point. I don't think he was pushed to the level where he could do that. Not now, anyway. I think, back, a year or two when he was in there with Lesnar, I think he needed to pull the trigger then, and they've pulled him off since then in such a negative way. Anyway, so to recap, the AJ and Daniel Bryan match for the Intercontinental Championship, which hopefully means there's going to be tons more of these. More of that, yes. They do an instant classic match like that when we're supposed to have the greatest wrestling match ever, here tonight at Backlash, which I thought was really stupid timing. I would have held the Intercontinental match off with Styles and Daniel Bryan until after the Edge Orton match, just in case, as did happen, the AJ and Daniel Bryan match did better in terms of quality of match. I don't quite understand the logic there. Anyway, Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley with MVP up next for the WWE Championship. They go 13 and a quarter minutes here. I love McIntyre. I loved him in his Evolve days. I loved watching him internationally when he wasn't with WWE. I love that he made the transition to champion. I think he is, to me, the biggest upside guy they've had since maybe, what? I mean, if we're talking CM Punk could have been more than he was, maybe since CM Punk left, so the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years, whatever it's been. Certainly Drew McIntyre is it. Now, I don't like what they did with him on Raw. You can check out my Raw review for why on that, but what they do here is reasonably okay. The match is decent. So Lashley, with good intensity early, applies the full Nelson before the match even begins. Referees run down to break it up. Lashley lets go. Drew McIntyre gives the okay for the ref to start the match. Lashley jump starts the match early with a suplex. McIntyre isn't even out of his jacket yet. McIntyre clotheslines Lashley over the top to create some separation. Then they go into the barricade. MVP with a distraction. Lashley just man muscles him up, driving him into the ring post. In the meantime here, Lashley tries a spear on the outside. McIntyre launches him into the barricade and follows with a vertical suplex. McIntyre came back with clotheslines and a flying clothesline and a spine buster for a near fall. Lashley then hits a spine buster of his own, so I guess we're playing can we top this? Lashley botches a flatliner somewhere along the way here. McIntyre fights out of the full Nelson, which kind of kills that hold. I would have protected it better if we're going to use Lashley as a future challenger. Alabama Slam by McIntyre. Crossface, and then McIntyre fights out of an attempted pile driver. Lashley goes into the ankle lock. Lashley with a spear. McIntyre countered that into a Kimura until Lashley got to the ropes. McIntyre superplex. Lashley hits a spear again. Lana comes out. She's kind of dancing her way to the ring. When I say dancing, it's kind of like striding. Anyway, Lashley gets pushed into Lana, and Lana goes flying off the apron into MVP. McIntyre hits a Claymore kick for the pinfall win. I mean, the match was good. The finish, I guess, advances the story, knowing the impact of Raw. I wish that McIntyre had been put over a little more strongly, in the sense that he is the face of WWE, whether people like it or not. SmackDown's never going to be as big as Raw in the eyes of longtime fans. I don't think even people that watch on Fox and they don't have cable, I don't think SmackDown's considered bigger than Raw still. Then we move into the Street Profits Viking Raiders segment. Pro wrestling has passed me by. After 31 years as a fan, I wanted to wash my eyes out with bleach after watching this segment. I don't get it. I don't want to get it. I will never get it. This was an insult to every man and woman who put their body on the line in wrestling matches, including the talent in the match who are capable of better. So they cut to the parking lot. The Raiders and Profits brawl all over the place. However, somehow they were friends through the various challenges, but they weren't friends here. Okay, so their friendship is bipolar. And then Strowman's car gets destroyed for like the 5th time in 17 days. This causes everyone in the segment to run away. Brawl continues to the back of the building. There are various forms of plunder, as Dusty Rhodes would say, including golf clubs, bowling balls, and the like. Meanwhile, Montez Ford realizes how nuts all this is and tries to talk sense to everybody, which doesn't last very long. And so there's a slap on the Viking Raiders for the pop culture reference in there. Then we see, I guess, mental flashbacks. So there's arguments between the teams. They escalated too quickly. One of the Viking Raiders said they should take this outside, to which the response was, we're already outside. The brawl continues. Motorcycle appears. Akira Tozawa shows up. He offers a challenge. Akira Tozawa somehow has lost the ability to speak English. Perhaps this is a COVID prevention side effect. People lose the ability to speak second languages. I don't know. Anyway, the Raiders and Profits, they huddle up. There's ninjas. Yes, ninjas. Like 3 ninjas from the Hulk Hogan movie in the 90s. So everybody fights together. So now they're referred to as the Viking Profits, as they all work together against the ninjas. So everybody beats on the ninjas together for a bit. Tozawa calls upon a big, tall, masked dude who's like 7 foot tall. And, big guy pulls out a sword. Yes, a sword. So we're going to shish kebab people. Choppy, your pee-pee returns 20 years later. And so Eric's about to fight, but the Profits hold him back. This time they're arguing on top of a transport truck. Dawkins, there's an attempt to give Eric a bulldog off the truck into a dumpster. Ivar pushes Ford into the dumpster. He dives into it. I don't know why. Ivar has another flashback. and referee asks them what they're doing. She says, Ivar's cute, Eric's not. I don't get where this comes from. There's some sort of tail that comes out of the dumpster. And then they cut back to the announcers who say a match is not happening tonight. Gee, we wonder why. Orton and Edge are said to not be able to perform without a live audience, which means we're going to sound sweeten the main event. WWE is going to enhance the viewership experience. At this point, I wondered if they were going to pass me 99-cent 3D glasses through the screen or what was going to happen. Charles Robinson is your referee. He wears the old-style referee powder blue shirt, which I guess is nostalgic, and that's nice. There's fake crowd noise added into everything throughout this, which some people like, some people hate. It didn't bother me one way or the other. If you're going to do it, in all honesty, especially with this match being just under 45 minutes. What did you think about that a minute? 3/4 of an hour of the lives of people went into this match that's polarizing at best. Anyway, so there's fake crowd noise for the majority of this. So there's an old audio, which was kind of cool, of Howard Finkel introducing both guys. This was kind of neat. I mean, there's the graphic of the MSG microphone, the hanging one that hangs from the ceiling. That was cool too. Orton and Edge, are both pros, and Tom Phillips puts over, "This is the greatest match ever." They do a lot of technical wrestling. They do a lot of near falls. We're about a quarter of the way into the contest when there's a headbutt on Orton, and Orton starts to bleed. I don't know if it was Hardway. I don't know if it was Blade. I don't know what it was, but we get into "This is awesome" chant somewhere for 3 or 4. Actually, I think there's 3 or 4 separate "This is awesome" chants throughout the match. Orton gets a rope break as part of a crossface. Edge avoids the RKO several times. And then Orton uses a neck breaker, and this gets him the advantage of the match. Using the barricade, the plexiglass, and every other weapon he can, including the steel steps, Orton has the advantage for quite a bit. Back suplex onto the announce table, and then they go back to the ring for near fall. Edge fights out of the chinlock of doom. Orton pushes him neck first into the buckle. Orton then goes for suplexes. Edge counters and hits 3 of his own. They acknowledge Eddie Guerrero with the Three Amigos kind of thing. Chops and more stuff. Shove off into the post. Superplex for near fall here. Uppercuts. And then there's a cross body to attempt to get things going back in the way of both guys. They collide. They're down for a bit. Orton tries the draping DDT. Edge counters it into the execution. We're back to "This is awesome." Edge follows this with a running knee, and then Edge hits a flying crossbody. Orton uses things as simple as a schoolboy. That gets a near fall. He hits an angle slam, same result. Orton goes for drop kick, but Edge counters that into a powerbomb. Powerbomb looked great. I mean, everybody knows by now that Edge tore his tricep, but there were things in this match that did look and feel like the old Edge, which was cool. Edge sent to the outside. They hit the draping DDT. Edge avoids the RKO and goes for the I'm prettier. We go with a third This Is Awesome chant. Orton drops Edge over the top. Hit a pedigree for near fall. Then Edge follows up with a rock bottom for near fall. So basically, we're stealing everybody's finishes from the beginning of time. So in theory, does this mean that we should have seen the Savage elbow drop, the Warrior press slam, and the Hogan leg drop somewhere in here? That would have been more nostalgic. Maybe a stunner would have worked too. Anyway, Orton hits an uppercut. Edge comes back with a series of roll-ups and rollabouts for a series of near falls. Orton hits an RKO for near fall, and then Orton sets up to punt Edge, but Edge hits a spear. He hits a second. Edge tries a top or a move off the ropes, but there's an RKO for near fall. Edge applies the anti-venom, which is the head and arm choke that he used at Mania. This does not lead well for anybody involved in the situation. And then Orton hits the RKO, finally does get the win. Unfortunately, as mentioned, Edge does tear a tricep, which at 40 plus years old, almost 50, I think he's 46, 47, something like that, does being on the shelf for 8-9 months, whatever that's going to look like. Should he quit? Should he say no more? I mean, he did the comeback, which is more than anybody ever thought he did. At what point do the injuries not make it worth it anymore? He's got a family. He's got other things going on. So that's the Backlash thing. I mean, overall, I'd call it a skippable show. I mean, you can go out of your way to watch the Lashley and Drew thing. You can go out of your way to watch the Orton and Edge thing just for the spectacle. But other than that, everything on the show, including the pre-show, was skippable. And it really makes me wonder, especially still we're in the midst of COVID, why do we need to do extra events when, unless it's for the few people, the 50,000 people, whatever it is nationwide, maybe 100,000 people worldwide, whatever that number is, that still buy on traditional pay-per-view. Is that why they even bother doing these anymore? Because I can't legitimize in my mind, if there's no television contract forcing people to do them, why they're done. In any event, we will have more content up for you later this evening and into tomorrow. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment.